Hello everybody and welcome back to another week of Modern FNM here at GameSwap in Mason, Ohio. Brought to you as always by Top Tech Productions. I'm Mario Koerbel here with my co-host Mark Anlicker. How's it going, Mark?
Hey everybody.
And for round one here we have a pretty unique matchup. We got Paul Koerbel on Dredgevine, a new, well not new, but an old take on Dredge I suppose, versus Hunter Hersko-Fugitt on Blue-White Control.
Yeah, Dredgevine's a pretty sweet deck, and it's sort of been overshadowed ever since the printing of Prized Amalgam.
Sure.
But these Dredgevine decks are really neat. A lot of them sort of can resemble Jund. You know, you can actually...
It might be Jund colors.
You can actually do things like play Dark Confidant and Thoughtseize. Dark Confidant's cool because it allows you to play a cheap creature to trigger your Vengevines, but then also you can dredge each turn while still effectively drawing a card.
Yeah.
But these Dredgevine decks, the main way that they differ from actual current Dredge decks is they do actually have to cast 2 creatures to trigger Vengevine.
Right.
So yeah, you'll see things like Llanowar Mentor, Birds of Paradise sometimes.
And a bunch of cheap guys you can
you'll see
cast multiples of.
You'll see Golgari Thugs because it's a 2-mana.
Just on the hard cast.
Yeah, just dredge 4, but yeah, it's good to hard cast.
So
yeah, a lot of cool creatures.
This matchup is like your wheelhouse. You love Dredgevine, and I think you like Blue-White Control as well.
I do. I love both these decks. It can be a tough matchup for Blue-White Control because
you know, Crypt Breaker there.
These creatures have some recursion, which can be tough.
Right.
Dredgevine can even be playing creatures like Lotleth Troll, and of course Lotleth Troll is very good against cards like Supreme Verdict.
Sure.
Not so good against
Regeneration.
But yeah, Dredgevine's very cool deck.
I saw some standard all-stars there in Paul's deck. I saw a Crypt Breaker as well as the new Dread Wanderer. So taking some zombies from the standard metagame.
Yes, so one of the biggest cards in Dredgevine that's not played in Dredge is Gravecrawler.
Right.
Because, you know, it's when you actually play it from your graveyard, you are in fact casting it. So that's probably a sweet synergy we'll see here with these Crypt Breakers and all that.
Here we see the turn 1 Crypt Breaker.
Yeah, what's cool about this Crypt Breaker too is that these draw triggers that Paul's going to get, he can use them for value to draw cards, but he can also dredge with those triggers.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
yeah.
If he plays 4 Gravecrawlers,
right,
you know, you can start dredging a whole lot.
Yeah, that's actually really
for
cool.
free. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Crypt Breaker, of course, you know, probably the best card in zombies and standard, and it's a lot of power. It's like a little mini planeswalker on a zombie almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got 2 relevant abilities. You know, usually a 1-drop like that is not going to have 2 relevant abilities. It's no Deathrite Shaman, but
sure. So we see Paul just pass his turn 2. Hunter casts Serum Visions. Got his 3rd land here, and he is going to just main phase out the Snapcaster. It looks like to cast another Serum Visions. A lot of filtering so far, and he also got his Ancestral Visions ticking down. So Hunter is definitely going to have the resources probably to deal with a good amount of threats, but as we said at the beginning, you know, Dredge has very recursive threats, which might be a problem for him.
Yeah, Gravecrawler and Dread Wanderer can be a problem, but Hunter's got, you know, Path and Snapcasters.
Sure.
So.
He also has the ability to block with this Snapcaster. And Paul will get his 3rd land. So far, Paul has not seen too much actual dredging action. It looks like he does have a creature in his graveyard. Is that a Vengevine?
Yep, that's a Vengevine in the graveyard, which is pretty cool here. So that's actually Crypt Breaker. I didn't even you can use the draw to dredge, but then you're discarding cards, right, to put out those zombies. That's incredible. I actually might try to get back into Dredgevine.
2 Dread Wanderers, which is enough to animate this.
Yeah.
This Dredgevine.
Yep, get in for 4. For those of you who don't know, Vengevine is a 4/3 haste. And when you cast your 2nd creature spell of the turn, you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a nice body for no mana usually. But what's really powerful is the haste. The haste makes it
a 4/3 haste is pretty good, especially if it keeps coming back.
Yeah, a lot of these decks have turn 2, turn 3 kill potential because you can put as many as 4 Vengevines out on those turns, and they come out with haste.
So we saw Hunter just pass there with 4 mana up. He probably didn't have Supreme Verdict, but he does have Cryptic Command here, which is able to tap down Paul's team. Paul's going to respond by, this is a pretty good play, so he's going to discard a card, make a zombie, and then he's going to use probably his 3 zombies that he will then have to draw a card as well.
Okay, and we do see that Paul has the Lotleth Trolls.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, that card was a standard all-star back in the day. It's a 2-mana, 2/1, I believe. A 2-mana, 2/1 trample. and it has Regenerate for just a lonely black mana, which is very powerful. And then you can discard a creature card to put a +1/+1 counter on a Lotleth Troll. So what's very powerful about that card is with just a Lotleth Troll and something like a Stinkweed Imp in hand, you can discard a Stinkweed Imp every turn, dredge 5 every turn, and then keep making a Lotleth Troll bigger while regenerating it.
So I was mistaken there. Paul did not discard a card to Crypt Breaker with the 2-mana. He actually used it to cast Grizzly Salvage, which was why he fueled his graveyard. But he still did draw a card then.
Grizzly Salvage, another big one in these kinds of decks.
Good way to fuel.
Yeah, if you're playing Sultide colors, you can also go for something like Tracker's Instincts. But Grizzly Salvage is great.
So here we see the Lotleth Troll, but not enough mana to regenerate it currently.
Yeah, so that he could run himself into a Supreme Verdict here, especially off. Yeah, it looks like Hunter drew one off the. Yeah, that's bad news.
Ancestral Visions.
If Paul was able to leave up mana for Regenerate, the Supreme Verdict wouldn't even be that big of a deal.
Sure.
But
granted, he can bring the Dread Wanderers back from his graveyard if he gets down to 1 or less cards in his hand.
And of course the Vengevine goes back to your graveyard, and that can come back
eventually.
So. Yeah, one big card in these decks, for those who, again, maybe aren't familiar with the whole Dredgevine archetype, is Satyr Wayfinder. But I wonder if that's one of the cards that's maybe been crowded out by this by these zombies.
These new zombies is definitely a new take. I mean, I've not seen a list like this anywhere, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think it looks sweet. I mean, the fact that Lotleth Troll is actually a zombie. It's a zombie.
Oh,
troll.
It is. I did not even know that.
So Lotleth Troll is a zombie. And then Crypt Breaker is a zombie, and Dread Wanderer is a zombie. So all of those cards trigger Gravecrawler, because Gravecrawler is a 1-mana 2/1 that can't block, but you can cast it, not just put it into play, but actually cast it from your graveyard.
As long as you have a zombie.
As long as you control a zombie. So I'm very impressed by this deck from Paul. I like it a lot. It looks like we'll see him discard the Stinkweed Imp, put a counter on.
Just to get in his graveyard to start the dredging.
Just wants to start the dredging. So. And we do see that Paul has a Bloodghast in his graveyard.
Right.
Unfortunately, Bloodghast is a vampire spirit, not a zombie.
Yeah, that's true. He dredged a path there, which I'm kind of surprised he has in the main deck usually.
Well, like I said though, these decks.
Yeah, honestly, is he on 5 colors? Like I haven't.
Well, I was going to say
paying attention.
these Dredgevine decks are much more about having actual cards in their hand than your typical Dredge deck you see now. I doubt Paul even has Golgari Grave Troll. Because Dredge 6 is nice, but you're never going to cast that card to trigger a Vengevine.
Oof.
You'd much rather have something like a Golgari Thug.
That's a pretty big play, though. We see Elspeth Sun's Champion out of Hunter, which...
Yeah, in the main board, too. Those tokens are going to be tough.
They're going to be blocking for forever, basically, unless he can... Paul can take down Elspeth somehow. I mean, he does have this flyer here, but that's only doing 1 damage.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see Paul put out 4 Vengevines and swing right through those.
4 Vengevines. That would be something. We see a Bloodghast. Does not have haste. He's going to bring back Dread Wanderer.
Yeah, so one great answer to...
Bring back a Gravecrawler.
One great answer to the Elspeth here is the Lotleth Troll, because it has Trample, and you can make it huge and trample over all those tokens, but Hunter has a Spell Snare in hand.
Okay, so...
Yeah, so those are Gravecrawler, yeah.
So Paul preemptively got his Vengevine back there. He only cast 1 creature, the Gravecrawler. The rest of the stuff is just an activated ability that gets the creature out of his graveyard, which is an unfortunate non-synergy with Vengevine there, but still going to be able to attack for 5 here.
Yep, and we're seeing this recursion do its work, though.
Yeah.
So one neat interaction that is maybe helpful to just talk about and kind of strange, but if you've never played against Dredge and Gravecaller, it can be a little awkward because, well, it can be awkward for your opponent because if you Dredge a Gravecrawler into your yard and your opponent has, say, a Scavenging Ooze, they never have the opportunity to eat your Gravecrawler before you can cast. It's just like Lingering Souls. Once they Dredge and they show a Gravecrawler, they get to cast it.
Yeah.
If they have a zombie in play, they'll be able to cast it. You can't respond to that. So then that's
you can't cast it at instant speed.
I'm sorry?
You can't cast the Gravecrawler at instant speed, right?
No, but if you
if you get it there when you are able to cast a creature, right?
Yes, as far as triggering Vengevines, if you dredge a Gravecrawler that wasn't there before, and then you have Vengevines in your yard, and you go to cast your second spell at the turn, and it's a Gravecrawler, your opponent never had the opportunity to get rid of that Gravecrawler before you could cast it.
So we see Hunter with another Planeswalker here, Gideon, ally of Zendikar, also in the main deck. An interesting, it's a pretty good win condition. I mean, obviously also great in Standard. This is like a battle of the Standard All-Stars here almost. But,
yeah. I don't know if Vengevine was a Standard. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that
I wasn't even playing then.
Elspeth was and Gideon was, so. Gideon, ally of Zendikar, it's not quite the same power level as in Modern as it was in, or as it is in Standard, I suppose, because, of course, Path can take it out once you animate it. Much harder to deal with in Standard where we don't have that. And here, though, it's just going to make a knight, set up some blockers. And we actually see Hunter attack with the 2 soldiers there, since a lot of these zombies can't block.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if any of them can.
So
Dread Wanderer maybe can, but
so my guess that the white in Paul's deck is also for Lingering Souls.
Yeah, that's good.
There actually was a pretty big, not pretty big, but there were some lists that popped up a few years ago that were really just Abzan lists, but instead of playing your typical Siege Rhino kind of package and Tarmogoyfs, they played Lotleth Trolls, Grave Crawlers, and Lingering Souls.
Yeah, maybe that's his basis.
Yeah, so maybe he's got the Lingering Souls in there.
So we see Paul use a path. I think that was on the 2/2 Knight token just to clear the way a bit, so he can try to get some damages on these planeswalkers.
Yeah,
Hunter lets it
what Paul
resolve.
really wants to find is one of those Lotleth Trolls. But again, Hunter's got this spell. I think Hunter knows that he loses to Lotleth Troll pretty bad if he doesn't have another path.
Sure.
Because of the trample. So I think Hunter's going to hold on to this. Oh, wow, Blessed Alliance.
Blessed Alliance does not seem too great here. Just sacrificing a creature, I think.
Yeah, letting the Dredge player sacrifice a creature of their choice isn't great.
Yeah. Paul decides to sacrifice this Stinkweed Imp, which of course he can then use to Dredge further.
I can't really tell who's got the edge here. I mean,
really?
obviously Elspeth is good.
Yeah, and Paul actually just attacked Hunter's life total directly there.
Oh, really?
Completely ignoring the planeswalkers.
Huh. Yeah, maybe Paul thinks he can.
I don't know if that's a mistake or not.
Well, but that does put Hunter below 10, which means Bloodghast are going to have haste.
But
now.
Paul's just dead here, right? Animate Gideon, activate Celestial Colonnade.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think you had to attack at least Gideon there.
Yeah,
Gideon was only at 4, so
colonnade.
you only needed 2 creatures to get through to be able to take it down. And it is a 5/5, so it's a pretty potent card. You usually want to deal with that one as soon as you possibly can.
No, I forgot about the colonnade.
Yeah.
I think if it weren't for the colonnade, might have been fine to
to
attack life total there, but.
All right. Well, Hunter takes that first game off the back of his planeswalkers there, which Paul, I don't know. He can deal with them because he goes so wide, but directly just taking one out, he obviously didn't have an answer to their main deck.
Yeah.
Although, granted, he did use that path to get rid of the Knight token. That, of course, like I said, when we first saw him played, he could have pathed Gideon. But
yeah, pathing Gideon would be good there.
Assuming he gets it through a counterspell, of course. But.
So Hunter wants his graveyard hate.
Rest in pieces.
Yeah, might have Rest in Peace.
I did not see any Snapcasters, so it's... Oh, no, we did actually. We did see Snapcaster,
yeah,
right? So
he's almost certainly got at least 2 Snapcasters.
I see some Spellquellers there.
Hunter might also have Relic of Progenitus.
Yeah.
But Rest in Peace seems
I think I did see he had Rest in Peace in his sideboard. As for Paul, playing against Control, his deck's already decent against Control, assuming he doesn't get his graveyard exiled, but do you think he has anything else that could give him an edge here?
Well, we didn't see the Lingering Souls in the main. If he's got them in the side, get those in.
Yeah.
Can't be countered effectively, and you can play around board wipes with them too. They can kill planeswalkers.
Right. He may have some discard as well, maybe like a Collective Brutality.
Yeah, I don't know how good that is when your opponent's on Snapcaster, but if your opponent
it kills Snapcaster.
It does kill Snapcaster. But and I guess if your opponent plays a Rest in Peace, then
Snapcaster's not doing much anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I guess Collective Brutality. If you're terrified of Supreme Verdict, I think that's fine. But I don't think you are that terrified of Supreme Verdict. What I would be scared of for Paul is Hunter having the Wrath of God out of the sideboard. Sometimes blue-white players like to mix.
Oh, creatures can't be regenerated, huh?
Yeah. they like to mix a Wrath of God in there into their board wipes.
This has got to be one of the few times.
Well, it's
that ever becomes relevant.
Run the Last Troll is a big reason,
sure, yeah.
And then another big reason in Modern is Azuri, Renegade Leader, regenerating other people's elves. So those are 2 fairly prevalent reasons, but this is one of the corner
personally,
cases.
I don't think I've ever actually seen that clause come up. Creatures unable to be regenerated.
It's pretty relevant, yeah. I mean,
it was printed on a lot of the old cards, right? When regeneration was more. Well, it was printed. I think they stopped printing regeneration altogether at this point.
They haven't stopped altogether, but I think Wizards has said that they dislike the mechanic because it's not new player friendly. Yeah, they've moved towards things making themselves indestructible at instant speed because that's a little bit more intuitive.
I guess.
But
because I remember even I think back in Dragons of Tarkir even there was that classic black instant that gives your guy like lifelink and regenerates him or whatever, and now it's give your guy lifelink and make him indestructible.
Right. To me it's kind of sad. I really like the regenerate mechanic. I like the word. I like how it relates to things like Lotleth Troll, trolls regenerating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And to me it's an easy rule. All it says is, the next time this creature would be destroyed, instead tap it or remove it from combat.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's the only sentence you ever need to know. If the creature would be destroyed, instead tap it and remove it from combat.
In fact,
that's all there is to
I
it.
think on the most in Amonkhet, right, there's a 1-mana black instant called Supernatural Stamina, and it basically gives your creature regenerate. But they actually made a separate clause describing how regenerate works. Essentially, I don't know if it's exactly the same wording, but it basically what it does is if your creature dies, you get it back that turn. So it essentially gives it regenerate. I don't know. It might not come in tapped. That might be the difference.
Yeah.
But they basically just worked around it with a different sentence.
Yeah, so one thing Paul does not have access to here, by not playing your traditional dredge list that you think of now, is Conflagrate.
Conflagrate, yeah.
And that's actually can be a good card in the control matchup.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to deal with.
It can be a good finisher.
Yeah, it also kills planeswalkers.
True. Yeah.
But I think this deck is probably.
He likely wasn't playing red. At least we don't.
Yeah.
He was playing quite a few. I think he might just be an absent from what we saw.
But what I do like about Paul's deck is that I think one big advantage here against a typical dredge deck is Paul does not at all lose to Rest in Peace.
Right.
His deck is full of real cards. Lotleth Troll is
actual
fine.
creatures.
Yeah, Lotleth Troll is totally fine against Rest in Peace. You don't quite have the super synergy of discarding Stinkweed Imp every turn.
Right.
But you can still you can discard Stinkweed Imp once, and then you can continually regenerate your troll. So this deck does not lose nearly as hard to Rest in Peace, which is a big deal.
Right.
Lingering Souls does not lose that bad to Rest in Peace. You still get half the card.
I wonder if Paul maybe brought in something like Abrupt Decay.
To try to kill Rest in Peace,
or it kills Colonnade. It kills or no, it doesn't kill Colonnade. It kills Snapcaster. It doesn't kill Hunter's Planeswalkers, right? Because they're all going to be above 3 mana. But
yeah, I'm not sure I'd be wild about Abrupt Decay.
It is uncounterable.
I think I do like what you said earlier about Collective Brutality.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not sure what kind of anti-control package Paul would have. Maybe if this were last week, Paul could bring in the Rest in Peace to stop his opponent's Snapcasters.
Yeah. You never know.
For those of you who weren't tuned in last week, we saw 3 players bring in Rest in Peace,
and it was always not good.
Yeah, it was always not helping him out. Okay, we'll see Hunter play the turn 1 Colonnade tapped.
So I did see that Hunter brought, I think it's some Spell Quellers in from the sideboard. That's interesting.
Yeah, the exile is really nice here.
Right, it exiles a spell because, of course, Paul's not going to be packing too much removal, so it can kind of just lock something an important recursion threat out of the game for a little while. So Paul's going to attack 4/2 with Bloodghast.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay would be nice against Spell Quellers, but I don't think Paul knows that his opponent really has Spell Quellers. Yeah.
So here's Dread Wanderer and a pass the turn.
Ruined Halo. So Ruined Halo is very good against your typical dredge decks.
Sure, you name Prized Amalgam or something.
You name Prized Amalgam or Bloodghast or Conflagrate, whatever you're worried about, and you take out between half and a third of their options at the time. Against this deck, maybe not quite as good, but it's still going to neutralize a threat.
Right. I think Hunter, I heard him name Bloodghast there, so that kind of gives him some relief on the constant pressure that Bloodghast imposes.
Gives him some breathing room. If Paul has the Abrupt Decays in the 75, you definitely bring him in if we go to game 3.
Right. Yeah.
Now that you know that you've got now that you know your opponent's got things like Ruined Halo.
And Hunter might also have something like Detention Sphere that also seems pretty good in this matchup. So
yeah, Paul could also have one card I used to play Jund to Dredgevine list, and I played Golgari Charm in the sideboard. Golgari Charm's nice because it blows up problematic enchantments,
right?
Like Rest in Peace and Ruined Halo.
But
it also regenerates your team. The -1/-1's not as good for you because you'll kill your own guys, but in that last game, if you killed all those tokens, well, your guys can recur through a Golgari Charm, and your opponent's 1/1 tokens cannot.
Right. So Paul deployed. I think that's a Grave Thug or Grave Troll.
That's a Golgari Thug. It's a 2-mana 1/1 Dredge 4.
And he also played a Gravecrawler, which is going to get pathed here by Hunter. So Hunter does have a Supreme Verdict in hand. I don't know if he's yet drawn his 4th mana. That would be a pretty big draw, and he does. Okay. Well, we'll likely see Verdict here, unless he wants to hold off, maybe get some more value out of it, because he does have another path, and he also has Jace, Architect of Thought in hand.
Yeah, that card seems very good here. A lot of Paul's threats don't necessarily have a lot of power. Obviously it doesn't matter any. Well, actually, so Bloodghast is a interesting side comment here. Bloodghast is a 2/1, and against Jace Architect it'll become a 1/1.
Right.
But Paul can use his Bloodghast to kill Jace because Ruined Halo does not protect his permanents. It only protects him. Whereas the new Gideon's Intervention protects you and your permanents from these
Yeah, and I think Paul actually just noticed that it only protects him. So we're gonna see everything swinging at Jace here. Jace being taken down even through the.
Yeah, it's good. Paul noticed that and still bothered to swing with the Vampire Spirit. So, yeah, Gideon's Intervention is a card I like a lot. I know 4 mana is kind of a lot, but the one big advantage against Ruined Halo here.
Super Ruined Halo.
Yeah, Ruined Halo is also much less good against Death Shadow. Gideon's Intervention is actually pretty sweet against Death Shadow. Their only answer is Thoughtseize because they can't Abrupt Decay it and they can't Inquisition it.
Right.
Whereas Ruined Halo does. Ruined Halo dies to Inquisition and Abrupt Decay.
So here's the verdict.
Yeah, the verdict.
Take out the troops.
Yeah, the verdict's fine, but it's not great here.
Yeah, there was a decent amount of recursion there, and it also puts the Dredger impulse.
Yeah, so he's going to go ahead and dredge for.
So Troll, Stinkweed Imp, Land.
Lot Troll, and a Gravecrawler. So he actually, if Paul has a zombie in hand, which maybe
he can. If he can cast a spell, he's able to recur the Dread Wanderer, which gives him a zombie on the board, because he needs to have 1 or less cards in hand to do that.
Right, so he can actually. Oh, so Paul can actually play. He can cast the Golgari Thug, activate the Dread Wanderer,
and then also cast Gravecrawler.
Well, he'll need 1 more mana.
He has a land in hand. Assuming he plays.
Has he not played a land yet?
No, I don't think. Maybe he did. Yeah, it looks like maybe he already played a land.
Okay, yeah.
His last card, I think, is an Overgrown Tomb.
Yeah, so next turn, since this is a zombie jackal, well, Path to Exile is pretty good.
Yeah, Hunter has 2 paths in hand.
But here, Hunter has to make. Hunter has to now make the decision to. You're right. It's already. I mean, it's too late. I mean,
sure. Yeah.
As soon as Paul dredges, it's going to be his main phase, and now Paul can cast this Gravecrawler.
Right.
And then he'll have the live zombie jackal and the Gravecrawler. So, Paul can.
In draw step, he's gonna.
Okay, during the draw step. Yep, that's how you do it. Hunter waiting until the last minute.
Because the Grave Thug, or just a Thug, Golgari Thug.
Golgari Thug.
Golgari Thug. Okay, that creature is not a zombie, right?
No. Okay. I think it's a human rogue.
And the Stinkweed Imp also not a zombie. No.
No, it's just an imp. If it were a zombie imp, oh my god! If it were a zombie imp, this deck would have been good for a long time. Instead, it's always kind of been mediocre.
Bloodghast also unfortunately not a zombie.
Yeah.
It does come back here.
Yeah, so if that was a good path by Hunter, because if Hunter did not path there, Paul could have cast the Gravecrawler, cast the Stinkweed from his hand, and then triggered the Vengevines in the yard.
So Hunter's hand is looking pretty good from this point forward, though. He's got another Cryptic, which I don't actually think he can cast yet, but he also has Elspeth Sun's Champion.
Okay, interesting note for Hunter here. He just played a Ghost Quarter. Paul has, I think, 3 swamps and a forest in play. I say you just Ghost Quarter your opponent. He might not have any left.
For the hell of it?
Yeah, I mean, Hunter probably needs this land for now. Yeah. Oh, he's got an Elspeth in hand, so he definitely needs the land. Yeah. He wants to hit 6 mana.
Did you see what Paul dredged there?
No.
An Aetherios God of the Passage.
Oh baby, that's what the white's for. How do we not guess that?
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that seems sweet though.
Paths. Yeah,
that seems very cool.
Oof. Here comes 2 Stinkweed Imps, and here comes Dredgevine, or what is it called? Vengevine. No, but unfortunately it's gonna get Path.
Yeah, Path.
Still taking 1 from the Thug. But
Hunter's had some pretty solid hands here.
Yeah, that's 3 paths so far.
Yeah. 3 path, and then he's got the Elspeth as soon as he hits the 6 mana.
Yeah.
And he had this Ruined Halo to stop early aggression from the Vampire Spirits.
Yeah, his hand has looked pretty good, and he does hit his 6 mana here, so we'll see the Sun's Champion again, locking down the.
Yeah, tough break for Paul. It looks like Hunter's really had everything he needed.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Getting Verdict both games, obviously huge. Even though it's, he's got a lot of recursion, it just buys him enough time to get to this Elspeth, and then this Elspeth is really good at
Did Paul search for a basic off that path?
I think he found another swamp, maybe? He does have an Overgrown Tomb in play now, so he does have 2 green, but...
Well, I just mean you can wasteland him, but...
Hardcast Vengevine
seems good. So does he actually have the damage to get to this...
Deal with Elspeth?
To get to the Elspeth?
Well, with 3... No, he can deal 2 damage to it.
Yeah, the flyers. Yeah, because... Well, no, he can swing with...
He can swing with everything, but it's only going to deal 2 damage to it, since I'm assuming Hunter wants to block with all these 1/1s. Nope, just going to block with 2. So Bloodghast down.
That does mean that Elspeth can eventually die to Stinkweed Imps.
That's true. Yeah, Paul going to play his land just to get his Bloodghast back here. Main phase, because of course he has not brought Hunter low enough where Bloodghast would have haste. The unfortunate thing is, though, for Paul, if he doesn't deal with his Elspeth next turn, he's probably never going to be able to, because it's just going to keep making more and more 1/1s. He's not going to be able to deploy 3 creatures in 1 turn.
Well, Elspeth can only get 1 loyalty a turn, and he has 2 Stinkweed Imps, though.
Right.
So he can.
So I guess that way he'll run it down eventually.
He can kill it within 2 turns for certain. It's just slow, and his opponent's going to make a lot of tokens.
So
Detention Sphere. Oh gosh, that's brutal. Detention Sphere is a great one for
also,
Hunter.
I'm not sure what Hunter drew for his. That's a Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, that's also really good here.
Jesus. And he's got a Cryptic Command backup. Yeah, this.
Well, he can't cast the Cryptic yet. I don't think he's 3 blue, but
does he not? Glare on the lands is making it a little. But
I think he has an island and a colonnade, maybe. I mean, he might have a Hallowed Fountain there at the bottom.
I think he has the blue. He just hasn't found a need to tap creatures
yet.
Yeah. But yeah, the Grafdiggers is going to be brutal, and then obviously Detention Sphere. If he just Detention Sphere named Stinkweed Imp, oh my God, that is brutal.
Oof.
Man, Paul didn't know he needed all the enchantment hate for game 2.
He did, yeah. Wow. Golgari-chan would have been real good. It would have been so good here. Kill all the tokens. Oh, I guess you can only choose one mode, but he could either kill all the tokens or get rid of the enchantment.
Maybe Hunter knows this is a good matchup somehow, but I feel like Hunter has just been really, drawn about as good as he can. To me, it would seem that this Dredgevine deck would actually have a reasonable matchup against blue-white control. And Hunter does have all the tools to deal with it, like blue-white control has the tools to deal with most things, but you got to actually draw the right tools.
Yeah, I think the 3 paths this game is really
brutal,
really great. So down goes Golgari Thug, which would let Paul dredge. 3rd Stink. Ooh, that's so unfortunate, knowing that he has the Detention Sphere there on top.
God.
He's gonna slam that down.
Oh man, it hurts. Oh Jesus.
Goodbye, Stinkweed Imp.
Hunter, oh jeez, that must feel good.
Yeah.
Detention Sphere is, sometimes people wonder why you play that card over some other options like Journey to Nowhere, and this is why.
Yeah.
this card hits any non-land permanent and kills many.
Yeah, it kills many non-land permanents.
It's basically better than Maelstrom Pulse in every way.
And now Paul's just on a downward slope here. He's never going to be able to hit this Elspeth unless he's able to get his imps out from under that sphere somehow.
What Paul needs here is a back to nature.
Yeah. Destroy all enchantments.
Yeah.
Clear the way. These creatures can't come out of his graveyard. What is that? A Thoughtseize?
A Thoughtseize. So Paul did bring in the hand disruption. Might have had it main board, but a little bit too late here.
So we will see.
Is Hunter gonna?
He's gonna Cryptic.
What's the other card in his hand?
It might be a Snapcaster. It's a blue card at least. I'm not sure
so
which.
he's gonna counter.
Well, he's out of blue mana at this point because he had
all 3. He could Ghost Quarter himself.
Yeah, he's just gonna counter it. Draw a card probably.
So I don't know.
Bounce Ruined Halo. Whew. The greed. Yeah, Paul's just gonna scoop it out there. That's unfortunate. Yeah, Hunter, like we said, Hunter really had everything he needed just to control each and everything Paul was doing. Plenty of pass, the Ruined Halo to stop the early aggression, and then was able to finish out there with Elspeth both games. I don't know how many Elspeths he has, but it's probably only 1 or 2, I would imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's more than 1, but maybe 2, but definitely not more than 2.
Yeah. Well, so an unfortunate showing from Dredgevine here in round 1, but shows the.
I'm really excited about the Dread Wanderer and the Crypt Breaker.
The deck looks cool.
That sounds great.
The deck looks cool. It looks powerful. Just didn't quite get there here. It does show the power that control decks are still good. There's so many different decks you have to play against in Modern to tune your control decks, but they can still get there. So that'll be all for round 1. We're not sure how much time is left on the round, but that felt like a pretty quick one. So we'll be back in probably about 20 minutes. Stay tuned, guys, and thanks for watching.